Hey guys, Mr. One more time. Right now, I'm going to talk about what is OOPS. Okay, in my previous sessions, I've already talked about PHP. I have provided you the knowledge about what is PHP. Right now, I'm going to talk about what is OOPS. So, the meaning of OOPS is object oriented programming. Simply, OOPS is a programming approach or paradigm that gives its a prime consideration to the data and its associated functions. Okay, so it uses the concept of wrapping up the data as an object entirely having its associated properties to provide higher security and less exposure to the data. Okay, so as nothing is more important than the data itself, this approach is highly in use and widely accepted by programmers worldwide. The programming languages that do not support getting depreciated, okay, and the languages that are now being developed support OOPS and are the extended version of object oriented programming. To relate programming with the real world, this methodology considers everything in the world as an entity or an object. Okay, and every object has some of its attributes or properties. So the concept of the classes and the objects can be applied to model an entire application. The overall development of an application in an object oriented perspective can be summarized as the object oriented analysis describes the application's functionality. The application's architecture is described by designing it using an object oriented approach. The application's implementation is described by programming it using the object oriented method. Okay, so object oriented concept and principles in PHP. Right now, I'm going to talk about the object oriented concepts and principles in PHP. The PHP programming language is based on the paradigm of object oriented programming that is called OOPS. Object oriented programming is an umbrella under which the features of object based programming resides, meaning it consists of all the characteristics of object based programming and gets the better of its limitations by executing inheritance, so that through programming you can solve the problems based on real life situations. Object oriented programming was created to get better at the drawbacks of usual programming techniques. The OOPS concepts in PHP have been developed on some concepts that make it achieve its aim of getting the better of the drawbacks or deficiency of usual programming techniques. Before diving deep into PHP, you have to learn about the basic OOPS concepts in PHP that are the pillars of OOPS. The first one is class. The class is the blueprint that is used to hold the objects along with their behavior and properties. In PHP, the class name should be the same as that of the file name with which it has saved the program. A class is user defined data type that consists of two entities, data members and members functions. Okay, data members data members are the variables that can be of the data type were in PHP. Data member act as the data of the source code with which you can meddle around. Data members can have three types of visibility models that decide the access permission of these members. Okay, these modes are private, protected, and public. members functions, those data members that have visibility mode as private and cannot be accessed directly by the class objects, okay, is such cases member functions come into play. Okay, those functions that are specially created to access private data members are known as member functions. An object in a class is an instance that has its own behavior and property. Objects can be related to the entities in real life. Okay, it considers everything around you as an object with some of its attributes. Okay, so spaceship is an object. It has properties like fuel, color, speed, material, etc. And it can have functions like launching in space, landing on a planet, etc. Why you define a class with all its data members and member functions, then every instance of object of that class will occupy the memory equal to the memory allocated to the data members of the class. Okay, if a class has been allocated 10 bytes of memory for its data members, and if there are three objects of this class, so object 1, object 2 and object 3, 10 bytes of memory will be allocated to each of the objects. Data abstraction. Abstraction is referred to the concept of giving access to only those details that are required to the platform as a specific task, giving no access to the internal details of that task. You can understand it better with an example. For example, if you are driving a car, you have the knowledge of critical aspects like how to move the to handle, how the clutch, accelerator, brake work, and so on. So to drive well, you needn't necessarily have to be an expert on the more mechanical aspects of how a car functions, like how the engine works, how the clutch is weird, etc. You just change the gears and apply the brakes, right? So the inside mechanism is not visible to the driver. So this whole thing is known as abstraction, where you know only the basic knowledge to drive the car without including the inside mechanism of a vehicle. Okay, so encapsulation. Data encapsulation is one of the most important notions of OOPS. Okay, it is the way of binding both the data, okay, and both the data and the functions. Okay, the to create, okay, our member functions in PHP. Okay, so you do not have permission to access the data directly. Create a member function in order to manipulate or use the given data. This data is not visible to you, so it is safe for any kind of manipulation by an outsider. Data and its member functions are said to be encapsulated in a single cell. So modularity. Modularity is the technique of diving the program into subprograms or functions. The advantage that modularity can attain are it decreases the complex nature of the article. It generates various well-structured documentation, increasing the quality of the program. A module is separate unit in itself. Hence, you can execute a separate module as it is connected to other modules in some manner. All the modules act together as a single unit to achieve their aim of the program. In OOPS, classes and objects from the basic foundation of a system. Inheritance is one of the most vital concepts of OOPS, which is essential to know to get a deep insight into the whole concept of object oriented programming. Inheritance in PHP has made it possible to use reusability as a tool to write a clean and efficient program. Inheritance in PHP is of three types, which you will send in detail. Okay, I am going to discuss it about what are the types of inheritance. The first one is single inheritance. The second one is hierarchical inheritance, and the third one is multi-level inheritance. So these are the things about oops, the what is called object oriented programming, guys. I provided you the basic knowledge about oops. Okay, so if you wanted to know more about it, kindly communicate with us in PCS Global. We are providing the trainings, we are giving the online trainings, we are providing offline trainings also. Okay, and in our CLP project, this is the on-job training. We have that provision to provide you that internship program. It can be paid, it can be unpaid. That depends on whatever training you wanted to do. Where our free internship classes are also going on. Okay. So if you wanted to know about technology, that which technology is better for you, if you are a novice person who don't have that idea about in which technology you can go through. If you wanted to start your career in IT from any other sector, you can go for our free internship programs also. Our master classes are going on, our webinars are going on. So if you wanted to join these programs, kindly get the proper information and communicate with me. My number is provided in the description box. I'm the brand ambassador of Penish Recovery Solutions Global Private Limited. Whatever information you need, you can call us and you can get the information from our site. Okay. So this is for now, guys. Kindly subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon and comment below.